Today I will be talking about the boy bye case, which is the Amani's case, and I will be answering some of the questions. Imani is a first-year college student who is navigating the world of dating apps. This brings to light the complex of ethical dilemmas associated with ghosting, which is abruptly ending communication without an explanation. This practice is very popular in digital spaces, especially dating apps, and it raises important moral questions about respect, responsibility, and emotional impact. In Amani's case, her inner conflict and her conversation with Jake revealed deeper tension between individual well-being and responsibility to others. Which brings us to the first question. What are the main or primary ethical dilemmas in this case? Well, the central dilemma in this case is whether it is morally acceptable for Imani to delete her profile without informing her matches, which is technically ghosting. On one side, she's prioritizing her mental health, academic responsibilities, and her well-being. Of course, after being subjected to inappropriate behavior by some of her matches, and is a very valid and important reason to step away. However, on the other hand, she recognizes that some of the people she interacted with were kind and respectful, and she feels trouble by the idea of leaving them without any closure, especially because she already has experienced how painful ghosting can feel. Additionally, Jake's encouragement to ghost without any reflection introduces another ethical concern, which is normalizing harmful behavior. His casual attitude about ghosting, even after an in-person interaction, reflects cultural tendency to prioritize convenience over consideration. Now, what is my opinion about this case? Well, I don't only think ghosting is impolite, but is also ethically problematic. It may seem easy to get out of an awkward conversation or an uncomfortable situation, but ghosting can make people feel rejected, hurt, confused in a deeply personal way. I am against ghosting because it undermines the values of honesty, which are the essentials in a relationship or a friendship. What moral or ethical arguments or points of evidence do you have on this case? Well, some of the research shows that ghosting can have emotional consequences, and people who are ghosted often experience self-doubt, confusion, and rejection, and can even blame themselves. This emotional harm is intensified by the lack of explanation and can feel like a sudden emotional erasure. It also brings us to virtue ethics. A virtuous person would act in a way that reflects who they want to be, a kind, responsible, and emotional, respectful person. Ghosting may reflect fear and discomfort, but it does not align with the character of someone who values empathy and interpersonal decency. What are the opposing viewpoints from your point of view that might come into play when looking at this case? Well, even though I personally believe that ghosting can be ethically problematic, I can understand why other people might think differently, especially in Imani's case. This is a totally different case where she's overwhelmed by school. She hasn't had the experience she wanted in dating apps, and she's being subjected to inappropriate behavior. So we might think from this perspective that ghosting might be viewed not as cruelty, but as a way of self-care and emotional protection.